Okay, well, do you have a bad thermostat or is it a bad AC? If you're watching this video, you're probably wondering, is it my thermostat or is it my air conditioner that's going out, my heater? Well, in this video, we're going to go over that. I got a thermostat with me here. We're going to go over first what a thermostat does, because a lot of people think a thermostat is like part of the AC unit and they think it controls the temperature, or how hot or how cold. It doesn't do that. It's just a bridge. And we'll go over that in just a second here. Okay, the first thing we're going to go over is thermostats, what they do and what they don't do. In this case, this thermostat, this is not the thermostat that's connected to this apartment, but I'm just using it as something that, to demonstrate how thermostats work. Now, for example, this thermostat here is 71. The room's at 71. Now we're going to put it on cold, which is, the air conditioner to kick on. It's calling for 80, what is it, 86, 85 right now. So we got to go below 70, 71, of course, to call for cold, for the compressor to kick in. So anything below 71, that'll make the compressor kick in, or the air conditioner. So you'll hear that click on this particular unit, or this particular thermostat. Now, if we're gonna test for heat, it's the same thing. Yeah, you just put it over to the heat side, of course, and you go anything over 71 because that's what the room temperature is at. But you want to go a few more degrees, but we'll just put it at 75 right now. And then again, you'll hear it click. Not all thermostats click. In this case, this one does. They're not all going to click, so that's not the way of testing it. This is just something that I'm just demonstrating what thermostats do and what they don't do. They do not make the air conditioner blow colder or hotter. All they do is just send the signal for heat or for cold, and that's all they do. They don't do anything else. That some people say, well, I don't think the thermostat is good because it's not blowing cold enough. Well, it's got nothing to do. All it's doing is it's reading temperatures, and it's really just bridging the 24 volts over to the heater or to the air conditioner, whatever it's calling for. That's all it's doing, and it's engaging. But it does not send a signal for hotter or colder air, nothing like that. It just bridges a signal, and that's all a thermostat is doing. And this is really important to understand this first. Now, this thermostat here, this is the one on this apartment that I'm looking at. This is a different style thermostat. This style thermostat does not run on batteries, so this has a different way of running. It runs on the heat and the cold actually expand the metals, and that's where it reads the temperature. This is not necessarily a mercury one. It's run by expansion and contracting of the coil. Now we're gonna do the test on this thermostat. I know this. I'm gonna end up changing this thermostat, but I'm gonna take this thermostat off. One thing I will tell everybody is make sure you have a phone or a camera or something that you can take some good pictures with. Because once you start messing with this, if you don't really know what you're doing, you always need to, oops, drop my screwdriver because the camera is just right here. Anyways, make sure you take some good pictures. Make sure you can always backtrack to where you were at. Make sure the pictures show color and good detail. Once you've done this a long time, then that's easier. But if you've never done it, it's always easier to have a good picture to rely on and go back. Now I'm removing the plate to this thermostat so I can access the connections. Hey, if you're finding value in this video, I would really appreciate a like. It really helps me with the algorithm. Now let's get back to the video. And see, this is just an old style or different style thermostat. So now I got the plate off. That was just 3 screws. Now you're gonna see here, there's really, in this case, there's 4 wires coming from the unit. Some of them have 5 wires because they have a blue wire. But if it has more than 5 wires, then it's probably a heat pump, and this video may not be good for those units. This video is mainly for package units or split systems that are not heat pumps. Now, from the unit, we're getting 4 wires in this case. We're getting a red, a yellow, a green, and a white. Some of them have a blue. The blue is going to be, if it's connected to a C terminal, it's going to be a common. Make sure that the C and the red never touch, because that'll burn a 24 volt fuse that's up on the unit. and that'll just create another problem because now you got to go up to the unit and figure out where that fuse is at and change it. So if you see a C, it's a blue wire usually, or anything connected to a C terminal, do not, make sure the red and the C never touch. The C is really just for thermostats that are digital, and you don't want to use a battery, so they use that C connection, and that avoids you from using a battery. But if your thermostat has a battery on it, then it probably doesn't have the C terminal connected. Now the red wire is always going to be, or whatever's connected to the R, is going to be the 24 volts. In this case, the green, and it's always going to be marked G, and that's going to be the fan. Now, if you connect the 24 volts over to the fan, and you hear that fan kick on, then you know that's good. There's nothing wrong with the fan going on, so you know that that's going to be okay. If it doesn't kick on, it could be a capacitor on the fan, it could be a tripped breaker, could be stuff like that, or even a breaker, burnt breaker. Now, the yellow is always going to be the compressor. Whatever's connected to the Y, that's going to be the compressor. And I say whatever's connected to the Y because the wires can actually change, because if a wire went bad and the technician had to use another wire color, or sometimes they buy like it's got 8 wires and one went bad and they just changed it. But whatever's connected to the Y, usually it's going to be the yellow, but if it's not the yellow, that's going to be the compressor. That once you connect your 24 volts over to the yellow, which is usually the yellow, but the Y, that should make your compressor kick in. So all you do is you connect it. This is only 24 volts, so you'll be okay. If your hands are wet, you may get a tiny little shock, but you'll be all right. And then you should hear your compressor kick in. In this case, I didn't know that at the time when I did this video. It was not kicking in. That's why I'm trying it. So I thought there was something wrong with the unit, but it was actually just at the breaker. The breaker was actually lowered. Somebody had lowered the breaker. But this was a good test because, see, at this point, I knew for sure that there was something going on up in the unit somewhere. It had nothing to do with the thermostat, because I was making the connection, and the thermostat and the AC was not kicking on the compressor. See, and I kept on trying it, thinking it was something wrong, but of course, later on I found out it was just a trip breaker. It could have been a capacitor up on the unit. It could have been a burnt breaker or a burnt fuse, but it wasn't none of that. It's just lowered. Somebody had lowered it. Now, that right there, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Of course, it didn't kick on. I found out later it was just that breaker. Now, the white is always going to be the heater. Once you connect the heater over to the 24 volt or the red, and the heater's not going to kick on right away. It'll take about 3 minutes usually, especially if it's a package unit. Sometimes you'll hear the fan and it's going to start blowing cold air, and you're thinking, man, this thing's not warming up. Well, it'll take a few minutes. It's not going to warm up right away. There's a process up there, the inducer and different things got to kick on, then the flames. So it'll take a while to heat up. So if you feel cold air at first, that's totally normal. It's got nothing to do with the compressor. That's the way these units run. In this case, like I said before, I thought it was something wrong with the unit. But this is one way of testing. This is the one way you can test your compressor without any voltmeters or anything like that. If your connections are triggering the heater, the fan, and the compressor, then there's nothing wrong with your I'm sorry, there could be something wrong with your thermostat. Make sure you check the batteries, because if it's a battery operated one, if the batteries are really low, sometimes they just won't kick on. They won't bridge that connection, so they won't kick on. So it's as simple as that. This in this case, everything was okay with it, like I said. But if you made all these connections and nothing kicked on up on the unit, then you won't even have to worry about changing the compressor, the thermostat, because there's nothing wrong with the thermostat. If these connections didn't turn on the unit, your thermostat is most likely okay. The problem is just up on the unit.